Hi everyone, I'm Sanjana and I have Daria with me today to talk about webinar marketing. Daria, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for the invitation. It's really awesome to be here today.
My pleasure. So to introduce Daria, she's the growth marketing manager at lemlist. And today we're going to talk about how lemlist generates leads through webinars and how they nurture webinar leads and turn them into loyal customers. So shall we get started?
Yep, let's do this.
Awesome. So can you give us a quick intro about the webinars you run at lemlist?
Yeah, so sure. So actually right now we run our own lemlist webinars. It's like in a format of live sessions with sales and growth experts. And I think we started doing them in May last year. So, I think for now we have around 29 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. And we already interviewed such like experts like Aaron Ross, Beck Holland, Scott Lees, Alfie Mars, and others. And like in short, actually why we started them, our goal is to provide as much like actionable advice as possible. So every time we try to dig deeper and deeper with every topic to cover it like fully. That's why we actually do them, and we started doing them like 1 year ago. So right now this is the like main webinars that we run. We also have webinars only for our community, but they are more like cold emailing related and like product related. So it's a bit different, but lemlist webinar is more like about interviewing real like experts in sales and marketing.
And how often do you do these webinars in a month?
Actually, we already had 3 seasons. I think in every season we had around 10 episodes. So mostly it depends, but mostly it's around 2 per month. So we take time to promote it like hard and be sure that every episode is like a big topic that we will promote good, and we will like give more actionable advice to our audience and things like this.
Okay. And do you have a name for your webinar series?
Actually, it's called more like lemlist webinars, so we don't have a specific dedicated one, but yes, so our own lemlist webinar.
That's great. That's great. Awesome. So like, can you tell us what role do webinars play in your marketing strategy?
I think that actually we started them because we wanted to give value, to educate people. So it was the first thing that we thought of when we started doing them. But to be honest, like, of course, since we are able to capture like emails, etc., these webinars, they play like a big role in lead nurture, like lead generation and demand generation.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's like, for us, it's like both, to educate people. And we believe that if you give real value, the rest will come. That's why actually people attend, they register, they attend, they leave their emails. So for us, it's like additional channel to generate leads and then nurture them and see if they're interested in our product in the end, etc.
Okay. And what makes lemlist stand out with respect to webinars when compared to other companies running webinars?
Again, like when we just started, it was 1 year ago, and we started doing them on our community. So firstly, it was mostly about giving lots of value to our community and community members. But right now, since like many things changed during this time, we actually changed a bit the format. So in the end, right now, we focus to be sure that our guests will show some specific example, will give some specific example, not only cover broad topic, but we try to dig deeper and to make sure that the audience will like leave with the exact answer what they need to do in the end. For example, how to cold call and how to use specific interesting methodologies, etc. So we believe this is something that people like, and we see like engagement, and we receive some feedback after webinars. So in the end, this is all about like giving specific examples that people can actually take and implement.
Great, great, awesome. That's really great to know. And can you tell us how does your webinar funnel look like?
So actually, I think that it's not like super like strange funnel. So actually it's simple, and I think it's more standard funnel. But anyway, everything starts with traffic. So we have, and we use different channels to actually promote every webinar. Then we drive this traffic to our registration page where people actually leave their emails. And for us, it's like an option to attract real leads. Then the next part is actually webinar attendance. Luckily and thankfully for the software that we use, it's really easy to do, because our software that we use, it helps us to actually send cool reminders. And in the end, it also adds the invitation to their calendar, so automatically, and we do nothing, and actually this works pretty good. And in the end, it's like about follow-up emails. So after every webinar, we have some post-webinar activities, like sending emails with some link to replay. For example, we ask how did they like the webinar, to understand and receive the feedback. And in a while, we start sending them emails, like we call them like lead nurturing emails, because we actually try to understand, we try to give value with some additional relevant content, but also understand if this is something they can be interested in, if it's like related to cold emailing and actually lemlist as software for them.
Awesome.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's very simple. And how many weeks before do you actually start promoting the webinar? Is it 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before the webinar?
Again, it depends on our schedule, etc., because sometimes we have some big promotions running. For example, if we like recently we had webinars like master classes. Also, we were launching some additional side projects, etc. So it depends, but we try to we understood that we need to try to make it 2 weeks at least prior to the webinar, to be sure again that we will drive we will reach enough audience, and everyone will be able to attend. Because if we have, for example, webinar for our masterclass and our lemlist webinar, it's a bit complicated to understand how we can actually reach this person if this person wants to be on both webinars. So anyway, we try to do it 2 weeks at least prior to the webinar to be sure that everything will run smoothly.
Awesome. And what other promotional activities do you do for your webinars in those 2 weeks time period?
Actually, we have our own plan, already created for every webinar that we use. Luckily, we have several good channels. For example, we have our newsletter. We have around 50K member subscribers there. So we have our community on Facebook, Lemlist Family. I think right now it's we have around 17K member there. We also have some Slack channels for dedicated to master classes. So these are additional channels for us. And of course, if needed, we have a specific sticky bar on our website. If it's something huge, mostly we use it for our master classes webinars, but anyway, we have this opportunity to use this for lemlist webinars as well. So we also tried promoting webinars on blog. I can't say it was a big success, but anyway, when you need to reach new audience, and actually this can be helpful. But we also agree on a co-promotion with our guests, so to reach additional new audience. So I think this is pretty much it mostly. But of course, our social pages, our own social pages, and so anyway, this works pretty good.
That's great. I actually have the same list, but in addition to that, I also try to add my webinar promotional creative in the email signature.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
good idea. We actually never
yeah,
tried. We did this for our masterclass, but not for lemlist webinars. But again, like right now, we do lots of things, and it will be just super complicated to be sure, you know, that everyone will put something. It's just like, but yeah, like good idea that can be tested and used. I'm sure that it
yeah.
will work.
Yeah, it will. And I know that, getting the speaker to promote is a bit of a challenge. So how do you do that? Do you agree on that before you even book that speaker? Like, how do you make sure that the speaker really promotes the webinar?
Yeah, so actually, of course, this can be a bit hard. So I can say that like we agreed on something specific, like with every guest. But anyway, even like tagging this person when we promote on our social pages, even tagging the person, it's like an additional opportunity for us to reach additional audience, because anyway this person will like or share or for example comment on this post. So even if it's hard to this like company person to promote right now our webinar, like that's okay. Anyway, we know that we have additional like options how we can use this for additional promotions. So but anyway, when we just start like discussing the topic, etc., we always try to discuss and agree on something. And mostly I think in 99% this works. If it's not a promotion like before webinar, then anyway we agree on some post promo promotion when we
Oh,
already have
okay.
a link, so they promote like already like hosted webinar somewhere from their site as well.
Okay, got it. And what I also do by like to make sure that the guest actually promotes the webinar. So if you look at all of these speakers, right, the US influencers that we're talking about, I'm sure that they would have written a book. So what I do is it's like give and take policy. So I just ship few copies of the book to the webinar registrants and tell them that
Mhm.
I've shipped about 10, 20 books to the registrants. And that way, when I ask them to promote the webinar, they are happy to do it because I gave something for them and in return, they want to give something for us.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that has worked for us really well. This could again be a good tip for the audience who are listening to this video. Have you thought about this?
To be honest, like really cool idea to consider for the future. But like as we always say, like it's all about relationships. So you know, like
Yeah.
even something like it can be book, anything like ebook. So anyways, about like discussing some agreements, and but it's like about relationships. So anyway, like I
Yeah.
said, for us, you know, we always try to like to book people who are like similar to us. And of course it's like
Okay.
it's a part of a success of every webinar. That's why, you know, it's easy to discuss anything with our guests, because we know that again, if they can't for some reason to promote like this webinar before, we know that we can discuss
They
some
will.
post
Yeah.
promo promotion. Yeah, and for us it also works because our webinars, they're like on YouTube, and of course we add some additional links like to description. And anyway,
Okay.
if they drive traffic to some already like hosted webinar, it's also good for us. It also works.
Great. And how do you use the webinar video? Like after the webinar, how do you promote the webinar actually? Like, do you have a do you create a blog on your site with the
Mhm.
transcript?
um like we tried different ideas. So me personally, I tried to create some articles based on webinars that we did in the
Yeah.
past. For example, what I did was, for example, we had several webinars on cold calling. So for me, I saw like an opportunity to create a new like fresh article dedicated to cold calling. And for example, understood that I can actually write two of them. First dedicated like cold calling like as a broad topic, but also for example one dedicated only to cold calling tips. The plan was that it will bring like lots of traffic, but in the end the problem was it was like a really complicated keyword like and topic to be ranked good, etc., and drive like big traffic. But anyway, we tried. So then in a while we understood that it's like it takes lots of time and we just need to invest this time in something else. So right now mostly we just promote it after the webinar via our newsletter. We send a link as like for the replay to our audience, because we know that someone attended, but for example, just a small part of it, for some reason, someone didn't attend because he or she had some other things to do. And people like reach out to us asking if they can like check this webinar after. So for us, it's also good, like for everyone. And anyway, we try to promote it everywhere in a while. So yeah, just like almost the same channels that we use for promotion before it, but to be sure that everyone who wanted to check it out, he or she will be able to do this in a while, like after it.
Great. I've done the same, and I have run about, I think, 15 webinars so far with the sales influencers in the US, just like how you are doing right now. And I've written about two or three ebooks from those 15 webinars, and I've written about, I think, close to 5 articles out of that. So the content that you get from these webinars is immense, right? And it's value packed. Like you can't write this content on your own. Like these webinars are always value packed.
What we actually try to do as well, like continuing your idea. So like I think almost everyone else, we use timeline after every webinar. So anyway, like our webinar, they are like QA sessions sometimes. If not, we anyway ask some questions during it. So we try to make some parts for this webinar and name them properly. So for us and for our sales team, marketing team, for our own LinkedIn posts, for example, we know that for almost any topic, we have some answer from some expert already covered like on YouTube. So we just need to scroll quickly and see and we are able to actually send this link starting from the moment when he or she starts to talk about this. So this works really good and we use it a lot. So yeah, but again, it's really good content that can be reused in any way that you want.
Exactly. Like if you know how to run these webinars or podcasts properly, then you just don't have to create content on your own. You will have all the content with you. You just have to use that properly. That's it. Your job is done.
For sure.
Great. And how do you increase the attendance ratio? Like people register for your webinar, but how do you make sure that they really attend the webinar? Do you have any tips there?
Again, mostly right now, we are thankful to the software that we use, and because it really helps to increase the attendance rate. We checked and compared to the softwares and the strategies that we used in the past, and right now it gives us around 60% attendance rate. Our goal for the last season was around 50. So in the end, we just check how many, again, only people who have a link can attend. So anyway, in the end, we are sure when we check our Google Analytics and metrics from our live, we see a real increase every time compared to previous seasons. That's why, again, good reminders and this auto add into the calendar, it works. So actually right now I think this is my answer how we do this.
That's a great tip. I did the same. And one addition to what you are saying here, so I used to send this email just 10 minutes before the webinar actually starts, and the subject line says that the speaker name is waiting for you at the webinar. Like Beck Holland is waiting for you at the webinar. It gives you an impression that someone is waiting for me at the webinar and I need to go there. So
This
that
should
actually
work.
compels people to yeah. So it's just a small trick that I play with my audience every time I send my reminder emails. So this has
Mhm.
actually worked for me.
Yeah, good idea.
Awesome. So, and you were also talking about, bringing in guests from US, mostly sales influencers, like great sales influencers. So, how do you ensure to get such great guests, and how do you reach out to them? What's the process like?
Yeah, actually good question, because when I just started managing webinars, for me it was, a pretty new world, because I never did something like this, like from A to Z. And anyway,
Me
when I
too.
just started, it was like, how should I start doing this? And of course, like in a while, like since right now, like I'm handling this, all this full
Yeah.
process, and I own this. So firstly, again, it's all about filtering, and we have our, let's call it filters, to understand if
Okay.
the guest is a good fit. Again, it's about like understanding if he or she is similar to us, to be sure like we ensure that they have enough expertise, experience, they know the topic from the inside, and we check some episodes made by them to understand like what they can cover and where they actually have the best expertise. And actually, the second part, once we filtered people, the second part is outreach, of course. And for
Yeah.
us, our winning formula is first personalize, to make sure that show them that you know them, and personalize, make some icebreakers, check for some episodes, show that you actually know what they do, what they can cover, and for them it will be a proof that they are actually the best fit, because we think so. And second, for us, like ingredient, let's call it like this, is to show value. And for this, I mean, like they need to understand that what is there for them, what we
Yeah.
actually like, if they attend, what they will receive. Again, it's about
Mm.
relationships, and understanding that we will promote it, they will promote it, like we are not doing this just to do this, we will also bring
Yeah. Yeah.
value to them. And of course, the last one is like, we call it like, make their life easier and also their decision easier. So anyway, when we reach out, we already know the topic that we want to cover by them, like with them. And anyway, we suggest some ideas, and then we just hop on a call or via email, we agree on the final topic. And for them, it's like we just add, a simple CTA, for example, you game, and it's not like, let's schedule a call, let's like discuss all the things.
Yeah.
We are like, do you want to do this, like yes or no, because we already actually covered everything. We like showed our suggestion, and we already showed what this will bring to them, and what topic we want with them to cover. And so for them, it's like in the end, just yes or no, that's it.
Great, great. I also want to add few tips to the outreach part here, because I was in the same shoes as you, and I went through the same process as you. So like I understand what you're trying to say here.
Mhm.
And like there are two things that I did differently here, which I would like to share. One
Mhm.
is, before I sent out an outreach email, I made sure that I engaged with them on social media. Like I used to
Mhm.
comment on their post, I used to
Yeah.
like their post, or just try to talk to them on social media. So I don't appear as a stranger when I reach out to them over an
Yeah.
email. So I did that for 2 weeks, and then I sent out an email. And also the speakers that we're talking about, they are all great speakers. And Hippo Video, when like I was running webinars at Hippo Video, and Hippo Video was not a great brand at that time. So we were not sure if they would agree to do a webinar with us, or if they
Mhm.
would even open my email. And
Yeah.
I was not a well-known person in the industry. So, I had to make sure that they open my email and they respond to my email. So what I did was I created a rap video, and I rapped about why they should collaborate with us for a webinar. It
Mhm.
was just a short 1 minute video. I worked with my team in creating the rap video. Like everybody, we got together, we put on some funky dress, and then we shot this rap video and we sent out to them. Like that made people to respond. It was actually in one of my follow-up emails because they didn't
Mhm.
respond to 2 3 follow-ups that I had sent. And when I sent this rap video, they were like, did you create this for me? And they were like, I'm gonna do this. This was great.
Yes.
Like I didn't notice your email, and you have put in so much effort to reach out to me,
Yes.
and I would like to learn more. So the that is what you mentioned very rightly. Personalizing the email is very important. So but if you can get creative, like
Yeah.
add a video to your email, that really stands out. I'm sure
Yeah.
like lemlist, uh you guys have great references for videos. So I you can talk about adding videos to emails a lot than me.
Yeah. So actually, anyway, like any attention grabber, let's call it like this, it works.
Yeah,
So it works pretty much good. And I think just for now, we are mostly, able to book people, like, let's call it like really easily right now. And
yeah.
mostly people agree. And anyway, like as an additional step, I didn't mention it, but anyway, on my last outreach, I used something similar like you mentioned. Like I think
Okay.
that I didn't engage with people, but anyway, there it was a multi-channel sequence, and I was using additional steps like connecting with people on LinkedIn. And
Yeah.
yeah, so this is an additional touch, and
Yeah.
this just adds more like value to your sequence and your approach.
Yeah, I know it's actually quite time consuming, but the value that we get out of these webinars is immense. So I don't mind doing these extra efforts
Yeah.
for doing these webinars.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome.
Agree.
Awesome. So you were also telling us about your webinar tool stack. Like, what are they? Can you share that with us?
Mhm. So actually everything starts, let's start from the registration page. For
Yeah,
this
sure.
need we use Luma. So for me, it's like super simple, nice designed tool, but actually it has some real good pros like reminders, and also automatic addition to the calendar. So works
Okay.
pretty good for us. Then we actually use Restream for live streaming, and we
Okay.
stream to YouTube. So
Oh,
people
okay.
actually attend on YouTube, but we use Restream to right now to have a good looking design of our webinars. So we add some captions, some backgrounds like lemlist logo, etc. Then we have the PR that
Hmm.
pushes all the data to customer.io that we use for like a database. And from
Okay.
customer.io, we send all post webinar emails, and like on customer.io, we actually track if someone attended or not, like what webinar he or she attended. Maybe he or she attended like a couple of them. So there we are able to track all the data and use this for our needs. So pretty
Great.
simple, but yet, yeah, effective. And I believe that every process should be simple. That's why previously at the very beginning, when we just started like last year, we were actually doing webinars on our lemlist community on Facebook. And
Okay.
it was not the best process, because for us the goal was first goal was to actually give value to our closed community. On the other hand, we tried to, with this process, we tried to reach and attract more people to our lemlist community, because only people on lemlist community were able to join this webinar. But then we understood like this additional step, when people need to join community on Facebook, like a group, it just
Yeah.
like decreases the attendance rate, and in the end it's
Yeah.
not super effective. So in a while, of course, our webinars, they evolved, And right now we have this like process with registration, but we try to make it as easy as possible for people to attend, and that's why it actually works pretty good.
Great. And how does your webinar lead nurturing process look like? What do you do after the webinar is done?
It depends on the webinar. And for example, let's take one of the most relevant for us. We just had during this season, we had a webinar with Michael Tuso from Chili Piper, and their tool is like, it's a cool addition to our software for sales like experts and sales professionals. So anyway, for example, our first email was about like, we were asking if they were able to attend and how did they like the webinar. Then we were also sending links to Guillaume and who was the host, and to our guests, in our case, Michael Tuso. And we were sending the link to the replay on YouTube. Second email was about how it's like we were sending some additional content relevant to the topic, and like we were trying to also add some PS saying that if you combine you know Chili Piper and lemlist, you will just receive better results if you will use both together. And this is our way, to start nurturing leads, just step by step, little by little. And in a while, anyway, our like all people, they start receiving newsletters, and they're like, if they're fit for this newsletter. And also we are like starting sending them some additional information, and we start just to nurture them. Right now we are testing different approaches, but this is what we do. Like, but anyways, it's like a lead nurturing for us.
Great. Have you faced the issue of spam? Your emails ending up in spam folder? Have you faced that issue?
No, because right now it's like a bit different topic, but anyway, like we use different approaches for different needs. For example, if we send cold emails, we use our own software, of course, lemlist, and we have our own dedicated, let's call it software called lemworm, sorry. So it just helps to be sure that our emails, they won't land in spam. So they just, this software, it worms, our domain. So we are sure that everything will work good. But for some marketing needs like newsletter, some nurturing emails, post-webinar sequences, something like this, we use customer.io, and we have a dedicated domain that is like lemlistfamily.com, something like this. So it's an additional domain that we use.
Great. And how many emails?
Yeah, sorry, and there we have unsubscribe links. So to be sure that if someone wants, it's easy to do this.
Great. That is what I wanted to hear. So how many emails do you have in your lead nurturing process? Like how many emails do you send out to your audience? Do you have a limit, or is it unlimited? Like until they convert?
You mean how many emails we have in a sequence?
Yeah, like once they become a webinar lead, how many emails do you send out to them?
So actually, mostly it's 2 or 3 during 1 week. But in a while, we also try to engage with them by starting like additional sequences, not super related to the webinar, but like a bit about like more about like how they can, for example, we share our cold emailing community on Facebook. We can send some ebooks, and we can try to convert them to the ebook, and then start nurturing them, because they will like go to our another segment for ebook where we have another sequences running. But mostly, again, as a post-webinar sequence, it's like 2 or 3 emails depending on the topic, and then we just like test what we can send to them and how they engage.
Got it. Yeah, got it. And do you see good conversions from your webinar leads?
Again, right now I don't have a clear like answer because we just started doing this in this quarter. I mean, like in the previous quarter, and we were trying different approaches, but like again, like not a no clear answer because we were trying things, and we tried sending nurturing them at the very beginning in our post webinar sequence, and we also tried to send them something in a while, so we are in the phase, you know, of testing things.
Yeah, sure. Like I don't really care much about conversions from webinar leads because it is top of the funnel content, and the only challenge for me is to come up with a value packed content for the speaker. That's what I care about. The content is what matters to me, and also to build relationship with the speaker. That is really important, right? So these are some of the things that I care about, and not much about the conversions.
Yeah, for us it was like different as well, because for example when we started third season, the last one as for now, so actually we had no ebooks created on lemlist, but in a while we created two for cold emailing and for LinkedIn. So right now we you know, we just have more opportunities how to nurture them, how to what to send to them. And in the beginning we were just able to send some article from our blog or try sending them some videos from YouTube, but in a while it changed because we received this additional, you know, things that we can share with them, and value that we can share with them. And in a while we started like trying to convert not to lemlist as a software at the very beginning, but trying to convert them to the ebook. And after the ebook, you know, it's just additional step-by-step process. And yeah, so right now we are again in the middle of testing some things to see what works best for us.
Great. That's really great. Awesome. And also speaking about building relationships with these speakers, right? What we also started doing is we started approaching them saying that why not we appear in your webinars, and you know, that way we collaborate again. And a lot of them actually agreed to host us on their webinars. And that is actually immense because when you appear in their webinars, like they are great speakers and they have a great following, right? They have about 10,000 of followers on social media, and the reach that you get by appearing on their webinars is huge. So we also started doing that slowly by building relationship with them. You know, I think that's how the relationship should progress, and that's how you stay connected with each other. Have you also thought about this?
We all actually started doing this in the last quarter. Like, of course, for Guillaume, it was always like this. So he was attending some webinars, some like podcasts as a guest, but it wasn't like a process for all our team. But starting from the last quarter, we started doing something similar for every member of our team. So we were trying to ourselves for other like podcasts where we are a good fit. For example, for sales, we were like trying to find something relevant where they can share their like expertise. And for marketing, almost the same, but for marketing to share what we did, what we tested, what results we achieved, etc., etc. So yeah, but again, like right now, when we have something to share, like something big, we know that we already have some relationships with people, and some of our guests from the past, they are also hosts of some podcasts and webinars. So for us, of course, it's easier, and this is also a good strategy. Like again, it's again also about relationships and how we can help each other in different ways.
Exactly. Great. And one last question, which I forgot to ask you at the beginning. How does your webinar format look like? Is it like a conversation, or is it like presenting the slides?
As I already mentioned a bit, so when we just started and we started doing our webinars on lemlist family. It
Yeah.
was just a QA session, let's call it like this. So mostly
Okay.
we were preparing some questions that we want to ask. We were asking our community if they have something to ask the guest. We were gathering all questions, and then we were selecting the best to ask during this session. But in a while, we understood that the format should evolve a bit, and we were trying and testing different things. And what we actually noticed is that some format with where when our guest prepares and shares some slides, decks, some visuals, it works like much better because people can actually not only hear but see. And for many people, this is something that makes them stay longer on the webinar. This is something that they can receive after a webinar to be sure that once they need this information, they have it like as a visual. And people were just more engaged with our webinars. So right now we try to like be sure that we ask our guests to prepare something where they can. And yeah, so right now we try to make it like really actionable by showing some example how our guests like did something or how they like what results they achieved, etc. So this is something we try to keep. And of course, anyway, we have our audience online. They're still able to ask questions. So it's still like it's like combination of slides and some questions and QA sessions.
Great. Great. I think, you answered all the questions that I had about webinars in this session really neatly. And it was great talking to you. But before I wrap it up, I just want to do a quick rapid fire with you. Is that okay with you?
Yep, let's try.
Awesome. So I'll just ask you a few questions. Just give me answers from the top of your mind. So first question is, who do you follow the most on LinkedIn?
My personal challenge right now is I push myself to create more content on LinkedIn. That's why, but sometimes the hardest part is actually writing. It's my own, things that I try to fix. And for me, I think that the person that I see the most on my LinkedIn feed is Brooklyn Nash.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So actually, he posts every day. And for me, it's like an inspiration, to create more content, to see some ideas, to get inspired. But also, I really like people from Shield. So their team, they're super active on LinkedIn. That's why, it's also an inspiration for me. That's why I follow them like a lot. And they're also like growth hackers, and that's why like I really like seeing their content. And because I understand that we are like a bit similar, and that's why we can exchange knowledge and grab some ideas from each other.
Great. And what's your favorite book or podcast?
To be honest, right, like I can't actually say what podcast like I like the most. For me, it's more about guests, and it's more about the topic. So again, it's not super interesting for me, to follow only one podcast. I'm more about finding something where I have a need right now. For example, if I know that I need to get better at something, I just understand my problem, and I try to find some episode where people can actually answer my questions. So mostly it's about like finding relevant content and taking the best and squeezing maximum from it.
Got it. And since you work for Lemlist, I have a special question for you, which is what works best? Is it videos or text-based content?
I will say, if it's about cold emailing, then text plus images. At least for me, because again, I'm not in sales, so my outreach, it's a bit more creative. That's why I'm free to use any image that almost every image that I want to. And even for link building, that is sometimes super dull topic, you know. And for me, I think it should be a bit more engaging. That's why in my email copy, I have images of my dogs. So anyway,
yeah, I've seen that. They're really clever.
Like, for me it sounds stupid, but for me it works pretty well.
No,
So
no,
in the end, if it
works.
works, why not?
It
So
works.
yeah,
It works. You actually wrote you wrote something about it on your LinkedIn a few weeks back, right?
yep,
You had
yep.
your dog picture. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
That's,
I have
that's
actually
clever.
a full story in my sequence for link building, because I have 3 emails and I have 3 images. Like in every email I have an image of my dog with different emotions. So I believe that, like, if someone's just doesn't reply, he or she like, they just don't have a heart, you know, because this is super cute. And anyway, even like receiving no thanks, it's also an answer for me. So like, but people can't, you know, not to reply in the end, but after seeing like and receiving 3 emails with my dog. So thanks to it.
Totally get it.
It works.
Very clever. I don't think a lot of people do this, and you're doing this, which is, you know, very creative. You should keep doing that, and you should keep innovating, you know, a lot of these things. Great to know. All right, so one last question. Let's say hypothetically you're getting your career started. So what would you tell to yourself?
Focus on yourself, and I think be sure that you can do everything, and if you are failing, it's not like bad. Again, just today I posted something relevant to this topic, meaning like, I remember myself at the very beginning, I was super scared to fail, to do something not in the right way. Even like when I start something new at any company, it's like I can get frustrated because I don't know from where to start, etc. But anyway, I'd like to remind myself that everything is okay, and just start doing something. You will be able to make it better, like, and there is nothing like scaring. And yeah, I think something like this.
Great. Thank you so much. I think I've exhausted all the questions that I had for you today. This was absolute fun, Daria. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I loved your energy and enthusiasm. So I know that you put out a lot of great content on LinkedIn. So I will give your LinkedIn link in the description so people can connect with you later and they can chat with you about webinars if they want. So yeah, it was nice talking to you, Daria. Talk to you again.
Thank you very much. Really, it was a fun episode. So
Great.
hopefully I will bring value with it as well to someone. And anyway, yeah.
Great.
If someone has like any questions, just be free to reach out to me, and I'm always open to hop on a call and like help if I can.
Great. That is lovely. Thank you, Daria. Thank you so much. See you again.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.